welcome everyone to our 18th live stream for the Empowerment Podium. For those of you returning, welcome back, and for those that are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are joining us today, and I really hope that you guys will stick around. You can join this community by subscribing to this channel, following us on Instagram and TikTok, and liking us on Facebook. The links to those socials are in the description down below. I'm so happy to be joined by today's speaker on such an interesting topic. Before we get started today, we're going to be following a Q&A format. So if you have a question for today's speaker and you want to get it in there, feel free to submit any questions you have in that chat feature, and we will try our best to get to those during our discussion. All right, so without further ado, I want to present today's speaker. Today we are joined by Hayley Domin. Hayley is a London-born creator currently living in the US. She has a passion for travel and food and has successfully eaten her way through over 21 countries and 17 states. She's lived in 3 countries and loves sharing her passion for adventure and living life on the edge. You can find her travels at Hayley on Hiatus on Instagram, and today she will be sharing her experience taking advantage of the gig economy as she juggles multiple jobs and passion projects surrounding food and travel. Welcome, Hayley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to have you. So if you're good to go, let's just hop right on in. So the gig economy has really become, big amongst millennials and Gen Z due to all the new options for work created by technology. So you're one of those people, and not only are you a full-time teacher, but you have a part-time blog, part-time content creator. So how did you kind of get involved in content creation in the first place?
Yeah, so I think most people who follow me know I've done Brunches of Boston for about 5 years now. And honestly, I think I owe everything to that and the people I follow on Instagram. I have so many role models on the platform who are, landing these hotel collaborations and, doing these photography, like fun trips. And I've always wanted to do something like that on the side. Mm-hmm. So I started out with Brunches of Boston, kind of doing photography and working with different restaurants. Mm-hmm. And that slowly moved into me pitching to hotels. And I figured, why not? I'm seeing these other people who seem to be able to do it, so why not me? Mm-hmm. So I just kind of, took the chance and started reaching out to people and working on my portfolio and media kit and kind of working up from there.
Nice. Very cool. And especially brunch, that's like a hugely millennial thing, but I love that that's kind of your start into the whole content creation sphere. But
I think my parents and my friends will thank me for the Brunches of Boston because they benefit from all the free food every weekend. So it's definitely nice. And like I said, it was a good start, even though I'm focused mostly on travel. But I think it was, good to have those contacts and to get into content creation through the Food Network.
Totally. Yeah. I know that I personally follow like a ton of brunch blogs because I'm a huge foodie. So always looking for restaurant recommendations. So. All right, so kind of like continuing on that social media train, social media as a means of income is kind of an unknown for many people. I know, like you said, you're involved in partnerships, hotel outreaches, marketing, etc. So can you tell us a little bit more about how all that kind of stuff works?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are kind of under the impression that you have to buy, these expensive blogging courses. A lot of people who have reached out to me in the last couple of weeks since I did my Iceland trip, have been very curious about how I landed that hotel partnership. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone thinks it's, some kind of secret in the kind of influencer world. There's not one specific way to do things. And that's what I tell everyone constantly. Mm-hmm. I have people reach out asking me, what email did you send? What courses have you taken to learn this? Mm. And I always answer them honestly and say, I haven't really done any outside research myself. Everything I've learned how to do, I've kind of just gone for it. I'm a very persistent person. So I think most of the hotels I've worked with will probably agree with that. My tactic is just to kind of sell myself and what I can offer them, and how I'm unique compared to other people.
Nice.
But I just like to follow up and show that, you know, I'm a human being, they're a human behind the brand, you know, we're all looking to work together.
Yep.
And I've just been honest with places, you know, over the past couple of years. I've definitely learned some different tricks, mastered my emailing content and media kit. And I think, you know, landing my first ever hotel collaboration was great because it let me put that on my resume. And then build up to more, I don't want to say successful hotels, but kind of bigger chain hotels. And I just think it's all about networking and the way you present yourself. I think my biggest tip to anyone who wants to land the collaborations, and, you know, I always get messages with people saying, you know, where do I begin? I don't think I'm good enough. You know, I don't have 10,000 followers. And I always say, I have less than 4,000. You know, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I think my biggest advice and how I've managed to do it is just to, like I said, remain persistent. And just, you know, show your kindness and empathy and what you're willing to offer to these hotels. Don't go about it in just like a business way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you kind of just figured it out along the way. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of doing the same thing here, like YouTube tutorials, all that kind of stuff. So you can learn a lot of things on your own. So I think that that's really, really awesome. And I kind of want to transition that into something you were touching on towards the end, just advice for people who are looking to get into this. For anyone out there who's, you know, looking to become a content creator, looking to start living off of gigs, do you have any advice for getting started? I mean, if you're at 0 Instagram followers, like how do you kind of start in this sphere?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked this question because I actually had someone message me 2 days ago.
Okay.
And she was a travel blogger who I think was only at 100 followers at the time. She had 5 pictures posted, and she basically wanted to know from me, you know, how do you grow, what people are looking for, what do I post? And I said to her, you know, like I just said to you, there's no one trick on what to post. I think my biggest content engagements on my page have been the captions and posts where I'm being the realest person I can be. It's definitely difficult finding your voice on social media. I think I was writing in the beginning based on what people wanted to hear, and not necessarily like my own voice, I guess you could say. So if I read back on my old Instagram posts, I'm like, oh my God, like it just does not sound like me at all. So I think my biggest piece of advice is just to be yourself while finding, you know, quality content and a way to help others. I think that's honestly the secret to success on the platform, is being yourself, you know, sharing a little piece of you, being honest, all while trying to put helpful content together for others to save and to read.
I love that. You can start anywhere. But I think that that's awesome. And I can speak to your captions are amazing. You're just like totally open, asking questions of the people who are seeing them. So I think that that's really awesome and a great tip.
Thank you so much.
So let's kind of pivot now, kind of into your 2 passions that we alluded to in your bio, travel and food. Let's start with travel. What have been some of the lessons that you've learned from your travels, and what is your favorite place you've ever been to?
Oh, such a tough question.
It's my favorite one to ask.
In terms of the food, I'm a very adventurous eater. So I will eat anything at least once.
Same.
So recently when I went to Iceland, you know, they have things there like reindeer and, you know, fermented shark. You know, these are all the popular things that people like to try. So I tried all of those things because, like I said, I feel like if you're going to a new country, you know, the locals and people that live there get so excited about you wanting to try their food. And I think it's a way to connect with them on a different level. So like when I was trying the reindeer, for example, you know, the waiter kept coming over to me being like, you know, do you like it? What do you think? And I was like, yeah, it's so good. But I think it's nice because food definitely is, you know, culturally a love language. You know, everyone can bond over enjoying a certain type of food, which is great. But yeah, I mean, like I said, in terms of trying different cuisines, like I definitely like to be adventurous and try as much as I can. And anyone I'm traveling with, I kind of like to give them a little push, you know, to try the same foods if they want to. My favorite destination, this is a tricky one, because I have so many places for different reasons that I enjoy. I think a newer favorite destination for me, which is, you know, very surprising, is actually Iceland. So I don't know if people know, I think I mentioned this to you, but I went there twice within, I think it was less than 2 months. I got to go back there. And I know typically it's like a bucket list destination for a lot of people. So I was very fortunate to travel there. And I think that was, it was my first solo trip since I had gone to Switzerland 2 years before. So during the pandemic, I think I definitely needed that for myself. And I definitely just needed to go alone the first time. And I just fell in love with the place. I made so many solo travel friends who I still keep in contact with, and just had the best time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think totally agree with you on both points. I think a lot of what I've learned from traveling is food-based, and I really love like trying new cuisines and stuff like that. But also one of my favorite destinations is also Iceland. It's so cool. Just like, it's a totally different experience between like going in the winter versus going in the summer. I did the winter side, so now I need to go back for the summer. Very, very cool place for sure.
Well, I feel like this was the first time I fully kind of immersed myself in something. So when I went, like both times I went ended up being about 2 weeks, if you combine them. So during that time, I stayed at 4 hotels, 2 hostels, and I rented a van.
Amazing.
And drove around. So I think I really got to see every part of Iceland in every possible way. So I kind of did like the luxury travel because the hotels I was staying at were like 4 and 5 star hotels. But then I got to do the hostel side, which obviously, you know, everyone loves a good hostel. They're always fun. And then I did the whole van thing. I did not sleep in the van. I couldn't do it, but I did drive around and we parked at a campsite. But I just think, you know, like you said, it's such a unique place where, you know, you have the city and, you know, the hiking and just the scenery is stunning. Breathtaking. Yeah.
It's amazing. Highly recommend. Kind of adding on to the food portion, the fermented shark, the reindeer, very cool. Like definitely part of any kind of culture wherever you're visiting. So I know we mentioned earlier that you've eaten your way through the 21 countries and 17 states. Personally, I think food can really like teach you a lot about cultures, brings people together, lots of positive aspects. So have you learned anything from your brunch blogging or eating around the world? And then also, what's the best or most adventurous thing you've ever eaten?
Ooh. Oh, God. So in terms of learning things, like I said, I've just learned so much about different cultures. You know, I think most people think, you know, eating is just fun and it's something everyone, you know, just likes to do. But I think, especially working with restaurants in the Boston area specifically, it's so nice to see the passion and kind of family feel behind a lot of the restaurants I've gone to. I recently did a Brunches of Boston, I think it was a week or 2 ago, and it was kind of like an Italian-based brunch. I think it was family-owned.
Oh my gosh.
But I was sitting down with my friends, just eating all of these brunch dishes, taking pictures, and you know, everyone started coming up to us, and I was like, I've never really had that experience before. So I'm kind of looking around, you know, like, you know, do they need something? Like, what's going on? So it was the chef, the bartender, the manager, the owner, the waitress, and they all just came over to the table, and they were just like, oh, we just want to see if you're enjoying the food. Like, we want to tell you about our story behind, you know, creating the restaurant, because it's a relatively new restaurant. So it's just so great to make connections through food. I feel like I've met so many amazing people doing brunches of Boston and traveling and eating in different countries. But I think, the most adventurous thing I've eaten, I think, is camel.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was interesting. So I did an EF trip when I was, I think, 23 or 24. And for people who don't know, it's like a big tour company that's based kind of all over the world. So I did a trip with them, and we traveled to, I think it was 7 countries, and I was with 25 people who I've never met before. We were all strangers, and we traveled all over Europe, kind of like backpacking style. And it was the final night of our trip in Athens. And my tour director, who is amazing, he's Greek. So he, you know, was really passionate about the food. And he brought out this dish and said, someone try this, but I'm not telling you what it is.
So
nobody wanted to try it. Like 25 people, and everyone was like, no, like, what is it? Like, no way. So I obviously volunteered, having no idea what this is. I tried it. It tasted like chicken with some cheese on top. It was really, really good, surprisingly. Very, very tasty, but definitely kind of a weird one. That was definitely the weirdest thing.
For sure. Yeah, that's a weird one. But also very cool. I would not have expected that camel was like a Greek dish, I guess, but that's really, really cool. Yeah. There's so many different surprising things you can learn through food. So I think that's
honestly,
really
I had no idea. I was expecting, I don't even know what I was expecting. I think maybe a type of seafood or something, which I'm fine with. But after I ate it and he told me it was camel, you know, I kind of had that kind of weird feeling. I was like, oh my God, I just ate a camel. But it was delicious. It was really nice.
Why does it always taste like chicken too, right?
When I ate the reindeer, I was expecting to be like, oh, this tastes like chicken. But the reindeer tasted it was like beef, but like a vegetarian kind of like earthy taste, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, very interesting.
Very cool. Well, before we kind of finish this off, any kind of closing thoughts for our listeners on anything that we've talked about or anything you want to get out there?
Yeah, I think, like I've said throughout this, you know, the biggest question I get is, you know, what do I write? How do I begin? How do you get these hotels? And like I said, if you're passionate about something enough and you want something badly enough, even if you have a 9-to-5 job or a billion things to do, you can find the time. You know, I just started today teaching again, so it's kind of a 9-to-5, like a little earlier than 5 o'clock, but it's still a full-time job, and I still manage to squeeze in content creation, pitching hotels, things like that. So I think you kind of just have to have that go-getter mindset and just be as persistent as possible, which I know a lot of people aren't as comfortable with, and it took me a while to get that way. I think people who have known me since I was younger would definitely say I was not like this when I was in my early 20s. But now I kind of know who I am and feel very comfortable, you know, with my worth and what I can offer. So I think that's just my leaving advice, is just to start today. You don't need to sign up for a billion courses. You don't need to pay a lot of money. Just go for it and the worst that can happen is they say no, you delete it and
True.
go to the next hotel.
Fair.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think going for it, you're definitely kind of following your mantra of, living life on the edge. I think that that's awesome what you do. So, and you juggle so much. I don't know how you do it, but
I'm always tired, but it's so worth it.
For sure. Yeah. So, all right. So that's all the questions that I have for you today. So that kind of concludes our talk, but I just want to give another huge thank you to you, Hayley, for joining us today, sharing everything you've learned about your travels, from food, from being a member of the gig economy. It's definitely exciting knowing how many options there are nowadays to generate a paycheck from your passion. So everyone go and check out Hayley. I've included her Instagram handle in the description down below, and her blog, I believe, is in the works. So keep an eye out for that too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Before everyone runs off quickly, just a few shout outs. If you want to share your story, let me know. Email us at empowermentpodium@gmail.com or message us on our socials. We have an Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok accounts, all of which you can find by searching at Empowerment Podium or at the links in the description. So give us a follow there to stay up to date on when we'll be going live next and to see some replays of our stories. If you like this stream, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. You can also hit that notification bell to receive a notification every time we post a new video or live stream. And thank you all again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again for another